Rural Americans deserve access to the best our nation has to offer, especially when it comes to health care. Across every state and every community, America's rural hospitals are the first line of defense, protecting our families, neighbors, and loved ones. No matter where you live, hospital care doesn't clock out. They're there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Each year, America's over 5,000 hospitals care for millions of patients, providing 24/7 emergency care, delivering babies, cancer treatments, and other life-saving care that patients rely on. Behind every one of those patients are doctors, nurses, and caregivers working tirelessly to keep people healthy and safe. Hospitals are our community's lifelines. They employ our neighbors and keep our families' health. But now, some in Congress are threatening access to care. Tell Congress, protect patient care to keep America strong. Don't cut rural health care.
In the squadron, they called him Bullets, but we call him Greg Kelly. Greg Kelly is on the air on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Real time, benefit or harm. I love it, Bill O'Reilly. I also really like what he, Bill surprises you. He surprises you. He surprises the audience, and that's actually a good thing. He came out in defense of the Clintons. Look, there's a lot to not like about the Clintons. The corruption, that whole business with Monica taking his eye off the ball when he was president, Hillary, the lust for power, and who knows what else. But to haul them before the Oversight Committee and basically just to embarrass them. They asked Bill Clinton, the girl who was giving him a massage, was that girl underage? He said, not to my knowledge. Not to my knowledge. Well, to my knowledge, she was 22 years old. Okay, she was 22 years old. Now, that is a compromising position. You would think, right? There's a grown man, Bill Clinton, no less, former president of the United States, sitting in an airport terminal, and a 22-year-old girl is massaging his shoulders and neck. They're both fully clothed. It's in public. And you know what else I found? I just perused the internet. Thousands of people getting massages at the airport. Or at the mall. They still have malls, They have those little chairs set up, and you can get a massage right there in front of everybody. You go to Roosevelt Field Mall. I think they still have one. Granted, I haven't been to Roosevelt Field in a while. Yikes. That place was dangerous when I was a kid. Now I wonder what it's. I'll order online. Thank you very much. I should go back, though. Man, I remember the Time Out, the video arcade, and what was the name of that record place? Not Tower Records. Record World. Gary Delabate used to work there. What do you want to say about the war? On and on and on it goes. We're kicking ass. We're subduing their defenses. Basically, we've annihilated them. So when they say we have air superiority, what does that mean? Well, that means you can just fly over the country without any fear of being shot down or one of their airplanes taking off and trying to shoot you down. Right, as a pilot. That's air superiority, complete dominance. Now, I think they said they had that yesterday, and today I think they said they're going to have it by the end of the week. I could nitpick on the messaging, and maybe I will later, but I'll also say this. I remember the first Gulf War, and they were a little bit more specific with what the hell was going on in terms of the missions and the details about target strikes. They haven't been as specific. And there hasn't been as much data. There's been a lot of, we're crushing the enemy, we're crushing their defenses, and that's fine. It's a style thing, and maybe it's an ops security thing. All of the people who were killed were from a military unit four that we know from Iowa. Did you see that? Their pictures? And they were in like some sort of support battalion, You never think that, there are certain military occupational specialties that are seen as safer and others that are seen as more dangerous, right? You just never know. I remember when I was in Iraq during the invasion, you know who we lost first? The truck drivers, the fuel truck drivers. About 8 of them were killed in an ambush. And they weren't at the tip of the convoy. They were like in the rear or in the middle of the convoy. So you just never know. I wonder if, there's a big debate going on, kinda. Democrats are just opposing this for the sake of opposing it. That's what they do. If it's President Trump, they oppose it. But they're really playing catch up, and it's a really reactive game. All right. And this is all because of Obama. And not what Obama is asking for now, but because of Obama's political good fortune. Now, Barack Obama, when he was a lowly state senator nobody from Illinois, nobody really cared what Obama had to say about anything. But good for him, there was a camera rolling when he said the only thing I ever agreed with him about the Iraq War. It was fall of 2002. There was a march toward war in Iraq. We hadn't done it yet. There was a push to get congressional approval. And he's not going to vote on it. He's not in Congress. He's in the state Senate. But he said what he would do. And he didn't like the war. He wouldn't support it because it was a dumb war. This is Barack Obama in Chicago in 2002. Cut 9, please. Cut 9.
I don't oppose war in all circumstances. And when I look out over this crowd today, I know there is no shortage of patriots or patriotism. What I do oppose is a dumb war.
And he thought the Iraq war, and he spelled it out, was dumb, not necessary. I happen to agree. I agreed all throughout, and I was keeping score as to who was supporting and who wasn't supporting, and there was overwhelming support for invading Iraq from Democrats and Republicans. Very, very, very few stood up. There were no big protests or anything like that. It was, yeah, we're going to go kick some ass. In large part because a lot of people felt emasculated on 9/11, right? Okay, you want to do something. Even right now, I kind of want to do something, right? Here I am. I'm home. I'm not flying those jets. I'm just home. You feel a little bit like, man, maybe I should be doing more. Then again, I did my part. All right. I've been there. I had my ass in the grass. Can't say I liked it that much. So he opposes the war. And then he becomes a United States senator. And then he starts running for president. And the Iraq war does not go away as an issue. And all of the other Democrats who are running supported the war. Hillary Clinton, who the hell else was in that race? Was John Edwards in that race? John Edwards was running. All these people, they all voted for the war. You see the difference there, right? They voted for the Iraq war. And they couldn't take that vote back. Barack Obama became president because of support from the far left. And as the war continued, and as it got worse and worse, the opposition to the war, became a bigger thing. And your position on the war, that's one of the reasons why Hillary couldn't get nominated. Because she put a green stand. She gave the green light to the war. So did John Kerry. Now I want to go back to the first Gulf War, 1991. That was a very controversial, initially, war. It barely passed. They had a resolution to support the war or not support the war. It barely passed, like 53 to 47. That's close. 45 Democrats voted against it. 10 voted for it. 35-10. Very few Democrats voted for it. And you know who did vote for it? Al Gore. Al Gore benefited mightily. It's one of the reasons why Bill Clinton, perhaps the reason why Bill Clinton picked him, because he's a liberal who supported the war. That's kind of counterintuitive, right? You get it? It's unique. It's different. It's aha. Wow, this is interesting. It's all about branding. So, actually, here's John Kerry, and this is where he kind of started losing his mind. He did what everybody was supposed to do. Liberals are supposed to oppose war, right? Yeah, all the people I heard who opposed that war were saying, I don't know about this Pax Americana thing. What a pompous guy. But he voted against the war. And guess what? The war was a hit. We won. And we won in like 100 hours. Cut 11, please.
It was the biggest military celebration in the nation's capital since World War II, as Washington today honored the U.S. servicemen and women who fought in the Gulf War.
The Patriot missile got the loudest applause of the day. Several 100,000 spectators lined the streets, most with the same message.
We're here just to say thank you and to celebrate our victory, but to say thank you to all the men and women who serve in the armed forces.
I think that this is a wonderful occasion.
The people loved it. And politicians like John Kerry, who voted against it, looked like jerks. Al Gore, his contemporary, becomes vice president of the United States because he voted for the war. So the next war rolls around, 2002. And here's John Kerry saying, yeah, of course I support the war. Granted, he's pompous and he says it in a very convoluted way. John Kerry in 2002, cut 12.
I think it would be naive to the point of grave danger not to believe that left to his own devices, Saddam Hussein will provoke, misjudge, or stumble into a future more dangerous confrontation with the civilized world. He has as much as promised it.
All right, so he's promised it, therefore we got to go to war. Now he voted for that war, and what happened with that war? It was a disaster, an absolute disaster, and no weapons of mass destruction. Cut 13, if you don't mind, please. Thank you very much.
Brand new NBC News Wall Street Journal polling numbers that show voters in the United States are in a startlingly pessimistic mood, a growing number decidedly against the war.
Look at these numbers, Brian. Is the situation better in Iraq now than it was over the last 3 months? Better 12, worse 49%, nearly half say the situation in Iraq is worse these last 3 months. 37% say the same. Is victory in Iraq possible? 55% say no. Victory is no longer possible.
Well, it was a bad war. No weapons of mass destruction. It took a long time. So a lot of people right now on both sides are, they're playing catch up. I know my MAGA friends and alt MAGA, or whatever you want to call some of these podcasters coming out hard against the war in Iran. Some of them are still embarrassed because they supported the war in Iraq. And I know they supported the war in Iraq. I was there. I was working at Fox News. Believe me, I was the odd man out at Fox News. Brett Baier. I mean, that guy was embedded in Donald Rumsfeld's SUV. Those guys spent many an evening, borderline romantic evening, tooling around Washington, D.C. Oh, tell me more, Don Rumsfeld, about Gerald Ford. Yeah, what's this like, running a war? Wow, you're amazing. Donald Rumsfeld. All he did was these big reports on Donald Rumsfeld. And then he'll tell you, I've been to Iraq 25 times. Yeah, 25 times. If you add it all up, it comes to 3 hours. 5 minutes in and out. 25. I've been to Iraq, twice. But if you add it all up, it comes to a year. What's more impressive, 25 times or twice? Well, 25 times. Yeah, but you see what I mean? All right, so everybody over there at Fox, all of the Republicans, a lot of the Republicans were gung-ho about that war, and they feel embarrassed ever since. And it wasn't until Donald Trump showed up in 2015, and especially in 2016 at that debate, when he said, obviously, the war in Iraq was a big, fat mistake. Now, that really bothered traditional Republicans. Jeb Bush, George W. Bush, and yeah, Fox News. Nobody beat the drum louder and harder than Fox News for that war. And I was in the middle of it. I remember vividly. I just wanted to go home. I'm like, damn it, they're not going to go to war. This can't really be happening. Come on. George W. Bush said, "Oh, we gotta stop it because they're shooting at our pilots." I'm like, I was one of those pilots. They couldn't shoot to save their life. They couldn't take one of our guys down. We were flying planes over that country for 10 years, and they didn't shoot one of our guys down. And George W. Bush said, "Yeah, they're shooting our pilots." So anyway, I was very negative on the war, and you know who noticed that? The bosses. That's one of the reasons why I went over to Good Day New York. Good Day New York, look, I wasn't into Bush. I caught him in a lie once. I went up, I came on television. I said, George W. Bush just lied. Oh, boy. I felt very good, but I was, no, you don't do that at Fox News. At that time, George W. Bush, you had to protect the brand. And a lot of people who ultimately would become MAGA, right, were there. That's what you did. But MAGA, we were let down. We were let down by them. A lot of people believed the hype, and they went for it. Yeah, we got to stop the terrorists there or they'll come here. Right? Remember that line? Well, it was just a line. It was some neocon weirdo agenda, and George W. Bush had some sort of weird mano-a-mano thing with his father, right? So anyway, it's interesting. And now people are opposed to the war, the left, because they're playing catch up, and also on the right, they're still playing catch up. They can't evaluate this thing objectively. It's one of the reasons why, actually, briefly in the what do you call 2006? What do we call that? The early 2000s, the early aughts. You know, I know it mid 90s, late 90s, early 90s. What do we call that? What do you call 2004, 2005, 2006? The mid 2000s? But isn't the mid 2000s 2050? Whatever. In 2006, I thought very seriously about running for Congress because I was so upset about the war. And I was a White House correspondent at the time. What am I going to do? Ask George Bush a tough question someday? I said, you know what? It came to me. I'll run for Congress because the next stupid war I could vote against and actually get people to join me. Then again, the next war might not be so stupid, but people will say it's stupid because of this war. So I could be pro-war. I could be of use. I could possibly be of use. And I took a good hard look at it, studied up on all the issues, talking to the right people. You know what happened? I go down to meet the committee that, you talk to when you want to run. And you know what these guys wanted to talk about? Money. That's it. That is it. Nothing else. How much you got? How much can you get? Uh-huh. I see. Don't you want to talk about my ideas for Iraq? I've been looking at the tax code and I really, how much money you got? How much can you get? Who do you know? Oh, well. Splash of water in the face. I'm glad it happened when it did. 800-848-9222. 800-848-9222. We see now that this thing, the first Iraq war, probably could have been done with airplanes. Just airplanes. If we spent as much time looking for the WMD that wasn't there, looking for Saddam Hussein, President Trump got done in a night what it took George W. Bush a year to accomplish. How about that one? We'll be back.
Greg Kelly.
Let's go, Brandon.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network. Greg Kelly. On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Calm down. Calm down.
No, because this is what y'all do.
So
I'm trying to get
Miss Crockett, you're not recognized. Miss
I can't hear you with your yelling.
Don't want
calm
me
down.
No,
can you please calm down?
Don't tell me to calm down.
Calm down.
Because y'all talk noise, and then
you're out of control.
Because if I come and talk about her, y'all gonna have a problem.
Whoa! Jasmine Crockett. Imagine that. She lost her primary in Texas, Democrat primary. She's such a calming, reassuring voice, isn't she? This whole ghetto thing of hers is an act, right? She doesn't sound anything like that, or didn't sound anything like that a short time ago. I barely knew she was running. I barely knew she was running for the Senate, and this primary seems a little bit on the early side, but whatever. The guy who's going to be the Democrat nominee, actually, now that I've really looked at him, I think he's very beatable. At first, I thought, oh boy, this guy talks good. No, he doesn't. Every time he opens his mouth, it's like, what the hell are you talking about? Wait a second. So he puts himself out there as some sort of a preacher, a Christian preacher. And I was just reading the Bible, actually, and I was reading the Epistle of Jude. It comes in the very end of the Bible. And like it does throughout the Bible, it warns of false teachers and crazy ideas, right? And this guy's got crazy ideas. Sometimes he makes them sound like, oh, if you're not listening, if you're not careful, if you're not vigilant, you'll go along with it. But it's not good. Now, Lou, I sent you earlier something. This is Tallarico is his name. He's like 30 years old. He's very young. And he's a punk. And I don't know, do you buy this stuff? Go ahead.
Trans children are God's children, made in God's own image. There's nothing wrong with them. Nothing at all. They are perfect, they are beautiful, and they are sacred. Bullying children is immoral. It's a sin, a special kind of sin.
Okay. In a world that wasn't sick, in a country that wasn't depraved and immoral, this wouldn't. The fact that you're running for the Senate and you're talking about trans children. So he goes along with all that stuff, right? Trans reassignment, gender reassignment surgery for children. And if the parents don't like it, don't tell them. And if the parents want to find out more information, they better use the pronouns that the child prefers. If the child is a biological girl and suddenly identifies as a boy, the parents better refer to their son, not their daughter. This is the crazy radical stuff that he's talking about right here. Well, it didn't sound that bad. That's exactly what he's getting at. And he shrouds it in this, I'm a person of peace and love. Do not buy it. And actually, I don't even think, it's right there. Trans children. Trans children have big problems. Their parents have even bigger problems. Let me hear the next clip from this character I sent you, if you don't mind. All right, let me hear I think we got another one here. This is cut 2, if you don't mind. Cut 2. Dos.
There is something broken in America. That's because the most powerful people in the world want it that way. Billionaires who want us fighting each other instead of fighting them. They spend so much time and energy keeping us angry and divided by party, by race, by gender, by religion, to keep us from realizing that there is far more that unites us than divides us. Because our unity is a threat to their wealth and their power.
These are legitimate issues that we are disagreeing on, and he tries to say it's just a bunch of nonsense, wedge issues. No. He also thinks that there should be, the border was wide open under Democrats. This trans stuff is weird. The Democrat Party has gone off the cliff. So he looks good he's not really wearing a suit. He's got a real Buttigieg vibe. And by that I mean, I think he's gay. And I also want to say, it doesn't matter. I don't think it matters. No, I don't think it matters. If he were to put the LGBTQ thing on and run around at the parade and really push that, then it would matter. But it doesn't matter. So it doesn't matter. It's just a thing. My gaydar is going off. What do you want? Next clip, if you don't mind, Jonas. We'll do one more from this character who thinks he's smooth, who thinks he's with it. And, oh, by the way, the fake news will be kind of greasing the wheels for him. This is the one Colbert basically tried to lay down his life for. Hit it, if you don't mind, please.
I believe Christianity points to the truth. I also think other religions of love point to the same truth. I think of different religious traditions as different languages. So you and I could sit here and debate what to call this cup. And you could call it a cup in English. You'd call it something else in Spanish and French. But we are all talking about the same reality. I believe Jesus Christ reveals that reality to us. But I also think that other traditions reveal that reality in their own ways with their own symbol structures. And I've learned more about my tradition by learning more about Buddhism and Hinduism and Islam and Judaism. And so I see these beautiful faith traditions as circling the same truth about the universe, about the cosmos. And that truth is inherently a mystery.
All right.
Christianity points to the.
So if you are an evangelical Christian, as I think he identifies as, this stuff is kind of like heresy. All right. It may sound pleasing, but it's not. It's actually designed to deceive. Now, he's bringing it up. This is his big thing. He's a minister. He's a preacher. He's a preacher who actually made it to the State House. Bad news guy. I think Ken Paxton, and here's where I'm kind of really, okay, Ken Paxton can do this. Now, Ken Paxton, yes, got busted in extramarital affairs. Ken Paxton's got that weirdo eyeball. Ken Paxton has some other kind of things, but guess what? We all have other kind of things, okay? When I look at Ken Paxton, he kind of looks a lot like us, warts and all. This guy looks clean, but his ideas are dirty. I do believe that, actually. He says we shouldn't have a wall. We should have a great big welcome mat for illegal aliens. Stuff like that. I don't think he's worried. Hey, why is this so important? Because I don't want that damn Senate to go blue. We can't have it go blue. Let's see. What else? Okay, so Sid had to... how are things with him and the mayor? Look, the comment I heard isn't the comment that was reported. The comment I heard, right? I mean, it's interesting that the mayor is upset about being called a bug, but he's not upset about being called anti-Semitic. The bug thing, people call people, they don't like rat. Mr. Hill, you're a rat. Mr. Hill, a rat will do anything to survive. Isn't that right, Mr. Hill? Mr. Hill, you know everything about being a rat. It's not, in New York. And this guy pretends, I've been going through this my entire life here in New York. He plays the Islamophobia card, the Islam card. This is a city that, quite frankly, doesn't care. You do you. Everybody does themselves. This is not Philadelphia. This is not, we're all going to gang up on a certain group. Those days, if they ever existed, that's not where we live. That's not how we live anymore. Does that make sense? Hey, listen to this. It's the shots that were fired at that Austin, Texas bar by an Iran-supporting jihadist. Cut one, if you don't mind. Cut one. Now, good thing this guy's aim was crummy. He did kill 3 people. Cops killed him. 14 people were injured. And cops got there in 57 seconds. They killed him, the gunman, who was wearing a shirt, the Iranian flag for a shirt. He also had a sweatshirt that said, "Property of Allah." We believe that he was born in Senegal, came here legally, by the way. But we believe that this is a self-activating lone wolf terrorist. If you look at the literature of ISIS, if you look at the literature of Al-Qaeda, which is still around, they call on, they want these people to not wait for a phone call from Osama bin Laden or whoever the hell. They want them to just see something that they view as unjust or an outrage or blasphemy and go ahead and pick up the nearest weapon and go do your thing. Go wage terrorism. It's really interesting that the whole world can see that Iran is a terrorist state. We're hitting their airplanes, their missile depots, their nuclear. We're taking them out their command and control, their high-ranking generals. And what did they hit? What did the Iranians shoot? Hotels, airports, neighborhoods in Israel. Isn't that something? And they're actually aiming for those guys, aiming. So far, Iran has hit Oman, United Arab Emirates, Bahrain, Saudi Arabia, Jordan, Israel, and Turkey. And, a lot of these countries, they might have stayed neutral. I saw a report that Saudi Arabia was about to launch missions over Iran, that is a very rare thing, right? 2 Arab countries going at it like that. I am seeing some very depressing numbers out of this, but we can't get depressed yet. Does Bruce Blakeman have what it takes to be the governor? Yes, he does. Does he have what it takes to win the governor's race? I believe he has that too, but he better find his mojo. All right, he's got to I don't know what's going on with this campaign, but it needs a bit more oomph, right? Every campaign, every winning campaign needs some oomph. Now, I'm not saying he's too old. I'm saying he can beat this bug-eyed bimbo from Buffalo. It is possible. Sorry about the bimbo, but whatever. He can do it, but there's something lacking. The commercials are too polished. They're not real enough. What else is going on? I don't know. There's something off. Plenty of time to fix it. What is it, March 4th? 800-848-9222. 800-848-9222. I shall return.
Greg Kelly on the Red Apple Podcast Network. Greg Kelly, entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Man, Iran has some of the goofiest looking ships. I'm looking at an aircraft carrier. It looks more like a garbage barge. They don't have any submarine. They basically have no Navy anymore. We got rid of all of it. Let's see here. Yeah, no, it's a tub. It's a silly looking tub. It looks like the SS Minnow from Gilligan's Island. Iran's new aircraft carrier looks like a floating catastrophe in waiting. Commissioned its first drone. Oh, you know what? It only carries drones. It's just a flat thing. Drones, automatic remote control stuff. We got to meet Admiral Cooper. Admiral Cooper is the CENTCOM commander. He's not one to fill in the blanks, I noticed. Nobody wants to get ahead of each other in this administration. They all want, well, I don't want to get in front of the secretary. I don't want to get in front of the chairman of the Joint Chiefs. I don't want to get in front of the president. And you have to respect that to a degree. It does get a little bit frustrating. Let me see. I want to hear from this guy, if you don't mind. Just sent that on. The other thing here, Jasmine Crockett has finally conceded to James Tallarico. This is an amazing moment, and you got to hand it to Bill Malugin over there at Fox News. He was like born to do this stuff. So, Hakeem Jeffries, Democrat, minority leader in the House, and anybody remember that little air campaign we waged against Libya for almost a year? And remember when they killed Muammar Gaddafi? They pulled him out of that little hole and they beat him to death on the spot. I mean, there were a lot of reasons to not like Muammar Gaddafi, but did you have to stick a knife in his rectum? That's what they did. It's unbelievable. I've seen the video. It's horrible. Granted, he was a dictator. He was bad. He was this. He was that. He was terrible. But I didn't like watching that. Total anarchy over there. Of course, Benghazi, right? Still, do we have the full story on that? So anyway, we had this air campaign going on forever. You know what we didn't have? Congressional authorization. So Bill Malugin shows up and asks this question of Hakeem Jeffries, who's very much goes Ralph Cramden, hamina. Who are you? Go ahead with that. Okay, Malugin, who's like 6'8" tall, by the way, and working for Fox right now. Go ahead and hit it on 1. 3, 2, 1, go.
Thank you, Leader Jeffries. Back in 2011, Nancy Pelosi said that then President Obama didn't need congressional approval to bomb Libya. Now House Democrats say President Trump needs that approval to bomb Iran. What's the difference?
Well, obviously, Libya and the circumstances connected to that were very different than the circumstance that we face in Iran right now. I mean, I don't even understand the genesis or basis of that question. Not suggesting that you're not asking it in good faith.
Libya went on for 7 months.
As I've indicated, first of all, I was not in Congress at the time. So we're dealing with what we're dealing with right now, which is a catastrophic, endless war, as Donald Trump has characterized it.
All right, stop.
Without any justification.
You can stop.
That there was going to be a
Please
preeminent
stop. I can't
assault.
stand this guy. Thank you. So then he goes on. He has no answer. It's the same thing. Not in good faith. What are you going to get in his head? He asked a question. It's a legitimate question. What's the difference? The difference is it's Trump. It's Republicans. And that was Obama. And Obama could do no wrong, right? Obama, as he took this country off the cliff. Hey, whatever happened to Beto O'Rourke? Is he back? Beto O'Rourke is back. Yes, Joe in Queens. Hello. Is he there?
This thing with Sidney apologizing. Well, he's in good company. General Patton had to apologize for slapping that soldier. So, and he became the greatest general we had. So, Sidney is in good he's in good standing with doing the right thing.
Well, sometimes in life you got to apologize, and sometimes in life you got to really listen to what was said. Now, I mean, look, it's funny to me. It's weird to me, actually, that he takes he objects. The mayor does, not to be called anti-Semitic, but to be called a bug or something like that. Now, traditionally speaking, right? You know who've been compared to cockroaches? Quite frankly, those who have been victims of genocide. Who have been victims of genocides? The Jews. And Sid, of course, is Jewish, and I know this is a particularly sensitive issue for him and Jews everywhere and those who love Jews. And also the Tutsis, the minority Tutsis, who were in Rwanda, who were genocided by the Hutus, or maybe it was the other way around. Sorry. It's been a long time since I saw that Hotel Rwanda movie, but it was horrible what happened there. So if he had to do it, he had to do it. I'm not quarreling with that, but I am kind of puzzled. You know what I mean? Like, you could call me anything. You could basically call me anything. But if you called me anti-Semitic, that's the part that I would be offended by. I said, I'm not anti-Semitic. But, I mean, a very good case can be made that the mayor is anti-Semitic. All right? The bug comparison, the bug. Thank you. Let's see here. Lou, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, good. What's up?
Hey, Greg, thank you for mentioning about Tim Jeffries. Yesterday, I'm a veteran, combat veteran. Yesterday, in one of his conferences, he mentioned...
What war are you in?
Vietnam.
No kidding. What year?
1969-70.
Yikes. Did you kill anybody?
I was in the artillery, mobile artillery.
So you definitely did. You may not have seen it, but you did, right?
Yes.
I know. I find it. It must be anyway, listen. Wow. That's amazing that you did that and you went over there. Sorry. Continue.
Anyway, he mentioned that the unauthorized act of war, and that our troops are going to be there for a long time and they will fail. That's an insult and a demoralizing factor to our troops.
And it shows he's rooting against our troops. He's rooting. He wants to be right.
Yes. Okay, that's it. I just...
hey, Lou, I'm sorry I asked you about the kill question, too. I'll tell you why I did it.
It doesn't matter. You know what? It's as you said.
Well, you know what? Here's the thing. I used to dance around. I've never even asked my dad that question. I never asked my dad that question. I appreciate it. He was artillery as well. But you know who ultimately who asked him the question? Howard Stern. He asked him point blank. And the way he did it, and he was funny about it. My dad kind of laughed it off. It's very interesting, but people got to do tough things in war. All right, Lou, we appreciate it. Thank you very, very much. Thanks for rolling with it. Joan, how are you? Ow. Are you there?
Joanne.
It says Joan here.
It's Joanne.
How are you? What's going on?
I'm blessed, thank you. That preacher, that person you said who is a preacher, needs to read the Bible. Because the Bible never said all men is created in the image and likeness of God. Only Adam and Eve was.
Huh.
Read Genesis chapter 5 and verse 3.
But doesn't that mean... we're descendants, technically speaking, we're descendants of Adam and Eve, right?
Right, but Adam and Eve was after the fall, they had their son after their own image and in their own likeness. That's why we have to be born again in the image and likeness of God. We have to be reborn. Remember, unless you are born again, you cannot enter into the kingdom of God. All men are not created in the image and likeness of God. Read Genesis chapter 5 and verse 3. And that preacher who said about trans children, there's no such thing there.
Well, that part we know is crazy. The other part, that part, do me a favor, play that part of the Mr. Tallarico telling us all about how trans children are beautiful. Stand by there.
Trans children are God's children, made in God's own image. There's nothing wrong with them.
All right, stop right there. All right, now he's playing footsie, obviously, with the LGBTQ, right? And they take that and they run with it, and it's weird, and it's right. And there is something wrong with trans children, for crying out loud. And you can say that.
Yes.
All right. Well, you and I were on the same page. Pretty much. That Adam and Eve stuff, and I got to look at that again. And let's face it, Joanne, good Christians can look at the same scripture and take away different things. Correct?
Greg, when you get a chance to meet me, we'll sit down and discuss that, because it's so... Listen, everybody who's going to heaven believes the same thing.
Everybody what?
Everybody who's going to go to heaven believes the same thing. You don't pick and choose.
I'm not saying pick and choose. I'm not saying pick...
No, I'm not saying...
What?
No, I'm just telling you, everybody, so let's get together. I'm going to show... Because people keep saying that, but that's not there. why then do we need to be born again if we're already in the image and likeness of God?
Look, I had never thought of it that way. All right. I'm not saying you're wrong, but I'm saying, they're probably, oh boy, I don't know. Listen, you know more about the Bible than I do. I appreciate it, Joanne. Okay.
That's your homework, Greg. Go for it. That's your homework. Go for it.
All right. Genesis chapter 5. I'm on it. Thank you so much. Yeah. Sometimes I talk, there are people who know a lot more about the Bible than I do. I'm like a kid with that Bible, It still overwhelms me. It still confuses me. It still mystifies me. It amazes me. But I don't have the mastery that some people have, and they can just, point to this verse and point to that verse. I can point to my takeaways, my general, and things that happened. And I think that's okay, quite frankly. Sometimes when somebody whips out, this happened, go to chapter or verse of Corinthians, 2 Corinthians, it's almost a little intimidating. Like all I can focus on is, oh, wow, this person really knows the Bible. It like kind of closes you down almost from the get-go. You know what I mean? A little bit. I'm looking at, hey, we can't forget that Israel is doing so much of the fighting here, and they're doing it great. They have one of the greatest air forces in the world, some of the best pilots, technology, drones, and the rest. Iran has been lobbing drones and missiles, and they've been deflected. Some have gotten through, but they are amazing. I'm so pleased that they are our allies. And look, this has been the policy for a long, long, long time. This is not the beginning of a war. It's the end of a bad war. Cut 7, please. Cut 7.
The Iranian government is defying the world with its nuclear ambitions, and the nations of the world must not permit the Iranian regime to gain nuclear weapons.
As long as I'm president of the United States, Iran will not get a nuclear weapon.
We will not allow Iran to acquire a nuclear weapon.
So what would happen if we got to the point where they were about to acquire a nuclear weapon, which we did for a couple of years now? They've been months away. It was time to pull the trigger. We're going to hear from Karoline Leavitt in just a little bit. A great big briefing down there in Washington. Is there going to be an appearance by the President of the United States? Possibly. Hey, Bill O'Reilly's take on the Clintons, I actually thought it was amazing. Bill O'Reilly he knows the Clintons. He's interviewed them. I've interviewed them, but he's not a big fan, I don't think. But he supported them, and he thinks that the House Oversight Committee went way overboard in bringing them up there for the deposition. Now, all those pictures we have of Bill Clinton with the girls, we know how old the girls are, and they're not underage. And when you black out their faces, it's so incriminating. It makes it look terrible, when in reality, it's harmless. I'm telling you, you go to the mall, go to Roosevelt Field, go to the airport, and you will see somebody getting a massage in one of those chairs. Yet I'm supposed to look at this Bill Clinton picture and be totally scandalized. It is not fair. We'll be right back.
Thanks for listening to The Greg Kelly Show. You can hear The Greg Kelly Show weekdays at 12:15 on 77 WABC. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode, so you never have to wonder, what the heck is going on here?
Rural Americans deserve access to the best our nation has to offer, especially when it comes to health care. Across every state and every community, America's rural hospitals are the first line of defense, protecting our families, neighbors, and loved ones. No matter where you live, hospital care doesn't clock out. They're there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Each year, America's over 5,000 hospitals care for millions of patients, providing 24/7 emergency care, delivering babies, cancer cancer treatments, and other life-saving care that patients rely on. Behind every one of those patients are doctors, nurses, and caregivers working tirelessly to keep people healthy and safe. Hospitals are our community's lifelines. They employ our neighbors and keep our families' health. But now, some in Congress are threatening access to care. Tell Congress, protect patient care to keep America strong. Don't cut rural health care.